Hey guys, Geeky J here, and I'm going to do this review a little bit differently. From my other reviews that I've done so far, I've had a script, and that's okay. And me knowing or laying out what I'm going to talk about, that's fine. But I just want to kind of freeform this one, and this is obviously going to be a review about Justice League. And full disclosure, Man of Steel I thought was pretty decent. It was okay overall. I enjoyed well. I haven't seen it in a long time. I just remember liking it the first two times I saw it or whatever. And it's been a while since I've seen it again. So if I revisit it, that could change. But I do remember liking it in the theater. And the other time I saw it, wherever I was, I can't remember. Um, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. I thought was I was really disappointed in the theater. And then I got the extended cut, and that made it a little better for me. It's not a perfect movie, obviously, but I think that's okay. In that I finally got to see Batman fighting Superman, well, in live action on screen, and I thought that part was awesome. Um, Wonder Woman, I loved. It deserves the 92% or whatever it has on Rotten Tomatoes. It's a good movie. It's a fun movie. I really enjoyed that. Gal Gadot did a wonderful job in that movie, and everyone else did as well. And then Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad I wasn't the biggest fan of either. It was okay, but it's just none of these movies, with the exception of Wonder Woman, have really been that great to me. If I had to rank them, it would be Wonder Woman, um, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Suicide Squad are interchangeable for me, pretty much. And so, where does Justice League fall on that scale? Well, first off, I'm going to start off by saying that it definitely doesn't deserve a 37% on Rotten Tomatoes. I just think that's outrageous. And it could be because I've lowered my standards, but I don't think this movie is that bad, especially when you compare it to the other movies in the DCEU, with the exception of Wonder Woman, which is a really good film. Um, so where does it fall? For me, I would go Wonder Woman, Justice League, Man of Steel, and then Batman v Superman, and then Suicide Squad interchangeably. Those last two, uh, just depending on how I feel one day or the other. So obviously, I did enjoy this movie. So let's get into some positives. Ben Affleck does a great Batman. Henry Cavill finally feels like Superman to me, or at least somewhat feels like Superman, and it's definitely a step in the right direction with Superman. Gal Gadot is wonderful again. I can't think of the actor's name, but the guy who played Cyborg, he's a little stiff, or maybe that's just because he's mostly CG, and it's really hard to um, tell what's going on with him sometimes. But he seems to do an okay job. And then Ezra Miller, he does a good job, even though he's more Wally West than he is Barry Allen, and that's a whole other issue. But he's playing Wally West, not Barry Allen. But Ezra Miller is fine in this too. So all the characters seem to do a good job. This movie feels cohesive. It feels like they had an idea and they ran with it. It's not a bunch of jumbled together scenes. It does feel like one cohesive story, and that's good considering you had the switch off from Zack Snyder to Joss Whedon, and that affects it somewhat. In that you can definitely tell when Josh Whedon has injected his humor into the movie, and I like Joss Whedon. I think he's a good guy and he does good work. But this movie definitely had more down to earth feel to it. It wasn't so heavy as all the other ones, even though this was really, I guess, a heavy villain as he was going to take over the whole world. But we got to know the characters a little bit. So, but and if you weren't a fan of these characters and you didn't grow up with them or anything, you might be scratching your head a little bit as to who these characters are. And so that's kind of a bad thing, but they do go into it a little bit. Like, I'll just go ahead and say that I'll recommend it to go see it. Just know that uh, it's not the best movie this year, um, but it's not the worst either. So, and that's another thing. Jason Momoa. Sorry, I didn't mention him earlier, but Jason Momoa does a pretty good job as Aquaman as well. It's not the Aquaman from the comic, so don't expect that. It's a new take on the character, um, and he does a pretty good job. Jason Momoa is a pretty cool dude, so he plays Jason Momoa as Aquaman, and I'm fine with that. He made the character his own, and he looks awesome on screen. And Mira, we do see her for a couple of seconds, and she's okay. Yeah, nothing wrong with her. I mean, I have no complaints about her. It's just that we only saw her for like less than a minute. So, but the underwater scene in Atlantis is cool. There's some cool poses that we get throughout the movie. Definitely some screensavers you can take from this movie, so that's a good thing. Ezra Miller, like I said, he was lighthearted. He brought more humor to the movie than the other ones I've had so far, and that's probably because of Joss Whedon. Um, and it seemed like he was having fun with the role. He has one joke that's really good in the movie, and I won't spoil it here just because you got to get your money's worth. And the opening scene of the movie, it's okay, but when we actually get to the opening scene with Batman, that's pretty cool. That's very for people that have wanted to see Batman on screen, that's very Batman-y. It's very Batman-esque, I should say. It's really good. Jeremy Irons does a great job too. So all the actors seem to be doing a really good job in this movie for this. That's good. I guess I'll go ahead and tell you. Well, I'll go ahead and get into some negatives real fast before I start spoiling anything. The CGI in this is not that good. It is, Henry Cavill had a mustache, um, because they had to do reshoots, and he was working in another film that they required him to have a mustache, and you can definitely tell that they CGI'd over his mustache to make it disappear, and it doesn't look that great. And it's just very distracting. The CGI is the thing that took me out of the movie the most, especially Steppenwolf. He has some awful CGI, and the part in the movie where they showed their mascara, um, it's a CGI mess. Yeah, the Flash is running. It looks a little odd. I'll go ahead and say that. Um, we did get to learn a little bit about the characters, but it's nothing in depth. Like I said, if you didn't know anything about these characters before going in, you'd probably be scratching your head a little bit as to who everyone was. Like what's their story, what's their deal. Superman seems. Well, no, I won't say that. Or the Superman well, I guess I pretty much kind of said already that he's in the movie, but he is in the movie. But you probably already knew that already if you knew anything about this movie. It was probably the worst kept secret. He seems like once he shows up, he seems like he could just take Steppenwolf himself. Um, it's because he's Superman, I guess. And one problem I did have about this movie is that the movie acted like Superman was the most beloved person on the world, even though in Batman v Superman we saw that there were some people who clearly hated him. Um, there were people saying go back to your home world and all this other stuff with signs in the last movie. We don't get any people doing that after Batman versus Superman. We don't hear about any of that, and we see monuments to Superman everywhere. So it's a little inconsistent in that regard. I don't like again these this is I don't agree with some of the choices they made regarding like the costuming and all that, but if you're a fan of that, that won't bother you. I don't like Cyborg, how he looks throughout most of the movie. In the end, it changes a little bit and it's better, but for the most part, I don't like how he looks throughout the most of the movie. Ezra Miller's metal costume, not a big fan. I would have rather it been similar to something like he wears on the show or in the comics. I don't like the metal look. And one thing, like Ezra Miller plays Barry Allen as someone who's not very confident. He can't really. He's really kind of a social outcast almost. And that's a different take on the on Barry Allen, I think, to my knowledge. And I don't know how I feel about that, but he plays it for laughs, so that's probably at least he does that. Um, I guess some final thoughts. Overall, it's a step in the right direction, I'd say. It's better than, like I said, I ranked it earlier. You know where it stands for me, at least as of right now. I definitely want to go see it again. It doesn't deserve the 37% on Rotten Tomatoes it has. It's at least, I'll go ahead and give a score right now. I'd say it's 3 out of 5. Three mustaches out of five. Superman mustaches, that is. Um, and it deserves that. Maybe out of 10, I'd give it a 7. Like, it's not horrible. It's definitely watchable. You will have a good time with this movie. Um, and my thing is, I hope Ben Affleck stays as Batman because he is my favorite on-screen Batman. It's just, I mean, that one scene in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice where he's fighting all those guys in the warehouse at the end. That's amazing. You know, that that just feels like Batman. He feels like Batman, and I know he said that he's looking for a way to leave gracefully or whatever. And I don't see um I don't see the movie being good or something that I'll enjoy if Ben Affleck leaves. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I just really want Ben Affleck to stay as Batman, and then Henry Cavill is stepping in the right direction to what Superman should be. I feel like we get a cool moment with him and about truth and justice, and that's cool. I feel like Superman, and then he's worried about the civilians in this. It's not like in Man of Steel where he rampaging through the city. But like I said, I did enjoy this movie. I would encourage you to see it if you're a fan of the characters. Just go out and see it. You know you want to, anyways. Um, it's worth it. All right, guys. I appreciate you watching. I hate when people say throw a like or something, hit that subscribe button. Nah, don't. I mean, if you feel like you want to do that, do it. But I'm not pressuring you. I'm just doing these videos mainly for me and to just get my thoughts out there. But anyways, thanks for watching. Talk to you guys later. All right, see you later. Bye.